Join Dalton and Jacob as they discuss the ever-changing world of trading card games. TCG Buzz starts now.
What's up, Buzz Squad? It's your boy Dalton. Back at it again with the Jacob name popping up real fast. Like
I pressed the wrong button, but I fixed it. See?
All right. Now that I'm done looking through my binder, how you doing today, Jacob?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a lazy Friday afternoon.
Yep.
Getting ready to go home for the weekend. If any of you guys have any cool weekend plans, you should let us know what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want, we do have Super Chat enabled if you'd like to support your boys. Otherwise, we got a shop or a Patreon that you can all check out. But enough with all the plugging. Let's kind of dive into this topic. I've been looking at chat. They're kind of talking about how Ace is just the general problem. But how do you feel about that before we get into what I have to gripe about it?
Nope.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page there.
All right.
Ace is not the problem, but that's besides the point. My issue is with the upcoming Legend Dragon support. Kind of talked to Jacob about it a little bit. I feel like it might be a rant. Who knows? But there's a few cards that just seem a little, why?
So I'd like to say that I still think Ace has been one of the better seasons for Buddy Fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's been some power creep, but also I think there have been some changes to the game that have generally been healthy and have actually made the game a more enjoyable competitive experience.
I'm just very confused on why you're so mellow right now.
It's Friday.
So?
It's laid back Friday, guys.
What you mean it's laid back Friday?
I would like to think that Buddy Fight's going to continue going strong for quite a while further, but you guys got to keep in mind, and by you guys, I'm actually referring to Bushiroad's developers, that every time you push the barrier of support further, you gotta keep at that level, or else, if you keep power creeping, every set's seeing at least a little bit of power creep, and it's always, well, yes, this deck is broken, but it does this, right? Well, yes, but this deck is really good, but it gets countered by this. All that's great, but every time you hit that point, you're gonna have to push past it next point, if that makes sense. And that's how you end up with decks like Genesis Dragons. Genesis Dragons, if they had been released a year earlier, would be a pretty competitive deck. But because our meta has been pushed so far towards everything being better, that kind of makes it so they're forced to make cards that are up to today's standards. It's a curse that games like Buddy Fight have because you don't have any sort of rotation.
Right.
Which is fine. I actually generally prefer that, but you need to keep it in check. And if there's one thing Bushiroad's really not good at, it's keeping things in check.
Yeah, they are not good at that at all. But what do I mean by Legend Dragon support that's coming out in set 6? Well, the typical Legend Dragon things. Let's draw cards. Let's gain gauge. Let's gain life. Let's search more. Let's just keep doing Legend Dragon things. But plus Ultra. It's just getting crazier. I'm sorry. It's like, as a Legend Dragon player, I know it's really weird that I'm complaining about this. But I want to be able to be like, all right, sex. Wow. Whew. This is turn completely off PG.
Well,
but set 6 is kind of turning it in a way where, well, why should I play any of my other decks? Where maybe I want to play a different deck. Maybe I want to play the new deck that's coming out in set 6. Maybe I want to play 100 Demons more. Maybe I want to play Knights. But the way that the support's looking for Legend Dragons, it's like, why would I? It's the no, you should be playing this deck, otherwise you will lose. It's turning tier 0. Even though I had to argue with other people back when Legend Dragons first came out, like, no, they're not tier 0. They're, if anything, like maybe tier 1.5. Yes, they're a really good deck, but they're easy to counter. And this is just making it, okay, you stop me this turn, but you won't do anything your turn type situation now.
It's kind of funny because Legend Dragons have somehow become the deck that epitomizes all the fundamental issues I have with the game. It's not just, oh, Legend Dragons, there are some problems. It's every problem I've had for years with the game are drastic with Legend Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they were first announced, I was quite excited. I'm like, yeah, it's not my deck, but I like to see cool decks in the format. It's got this unique double buddy mechanic.
Right.
And it seems to be trying to play the game a little differently than what we've seen before. And it's going to have an Egyptian aesthetic. That's going to be cool. And now we're getting everything's dragons and everything's, I mean, the Egyptian aesthetic's mostly gone. It's just generic aggro with shields again.
No, it's generic aggro mid-range wall. Because that's the weird part. It's everything in one deck. And I have to argue that, in general, you don't have to play an ace deck in today's format before set 6 is out. You have 100 Demons. That's not an ace deck.
Yeah, the legacy support's been...
You have Knights. That's not an ace deck. You have Adventurers. That's definitely not an ace deck. You have Demon Lords. Definitely not an ace deck. You have Zodiac. Not an ace deck. Chaos, Thunder Empire, both not ace decks.
Prism Dragons are
Prism
basically
Dragons?
the best deck we got right now.
Exactly.
Before set
Still
six.
not an ace deck. You could have argued that before Blazing Overclash came out, that maybe it was a little ace favored, unless you really knew how to like build your deck just the right way to counter everything. But I think that really hindered your deck at the same time to being like, well, I really don't have a win condition or a way to win, but you're not doing anything, which is great. Because what, like, everyone's major problem is what? Dimension Dragons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always like, you can stop them. Like, yes, I play them. But it's like, if you play the deck, you eventually figure out what your weaknesses are. And, you know, if they do this, well, I
mean,
tried.
the deck I played in Chicago, the Demon 9 Turbo deck profile, you can check that out. That deck hard counters Dimension Dragons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to say Shadow Shades.
Oh, that
From,
one
like,
too.
the time before.
That one too.
Because that one, again, not an ace deck. Like, you don't need to have an ace deck to play an ace. But that's not where we're trying to go. We're trying to go with the power creep of the support, in a sense. Like, now we're getting a Dragon Emperor Legend in Legend World that's a double Dragon Emperor Legend. Why? We're getting a Bots X Link that doesn't require you to have attacked, but you can only do it during your main phase. Why? They don't need these cards, but you're giving it to them so that they can do more Legend Dragon things. And people are just going to throw Lost World in, right? Because they don't want to deck out. But then everyone's going to shift blame to Lost World again.
It's funny because we've had a steady increase to values on cards and value. You know, a card just gaining you 2 gauge was a good card in the first season of Buddy Fight. And even by the second season, cards were starting to get a little bit better, you know, and then by season 3, it had a gradual increase, and then X had a pretty large increase.
Oh, yeah. X was pretty bad.
But it stayed stable throughout the season. And now you have Ace, which had, again, a large increase. But the big difference here is it didn't stay stable. It's increased steadily since then.
Yes. It's almost like each set is its own season.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's going boom, 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 boom. Which is really cool, but bad all at once. It's like, yes, you want to see all this new stuff, all the new support, all the new cards, all the new characters, decks, thrive. Because if you just make a deck, say like Link Dragon Order, really great in the beginning, and then kind of fell off the face of the earth because it was still getting support, but not good enough to compare to the rest, if you know what I'm talking about. And then Max Dragon's even bigger, like started off fantastic when they came out, and then their support wasn't as high as quality as the rest of the worlds or decks out there, and then they fell off the map after one set.
You know, this might be a consequence of Ace being stretched so far as it has been. I mean, we're going up to set 7+, which is really abnormal. But, you know, no anime to push us to a next season. So they've just been extending Ace for what? It's been... Someone tell me how long it's been since the first set of Ace came out. Someone put it in chat. Honestly, don't know.
I think it's almost over a year or about to hit a year.
But I feel like a well-built deck from the beginning of each season has a decent chance against a well-built deck from the end of that season. You know, if you put up a set 1 Sun Dragon deck, they're still going to win an occasional game against an end-of-season Neo Dragon deck from Triple D. You know, if you put a starting of the season Crimson Battler deck from 100 against an end-of-season Osbrodi deck, you're going to see a victory every now and then, right? Not this season.
No.
Not this season.
It's very hard. Like, the only deck, I guess, that can kind of do it is maybe G Evo, but that's because it had its climax, and now Bushi's doing its Sun Dragon effect with Dragon Deity Tribe, and they keep changing basically every single set now. Maybe G Evo might be able to do that, stand up with the best of them. Who knows? But there's just so many things wrong. Like, I can think of a few ways to potentially fix that problem, but a lot of people might not like it. Jacob's going to like it. I know that. But let's just get into it. How to basically solve the upcoming Legend Dragon problem. I kind of talked to you about like one major thing that I would do with it, and that's putting Frieza to 1.
So, unfortunately, I think the only realistic way for Bushiroad to fix a broken format, whether it's Legend Dragons or not, maybe, you know, one of the other decks coming out around the same time ends up being even more broken. That's the problem. I see the only realistic way for Bushiroad to fix the meta of Buddy Fight isn't bans or restrictions. Because surprisingly, despite the fact that we have an irregulars list, Bushiroad's been very reluctant to add cards to it. I mean, how many cards from Ace are on it? Can someone answer that?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Huh?
But on that note,
my point, hang on.
Okay.
My point is the only way for them to fix a broken format in Buddy Fight, or the only way that they will, is by printing more broken decks at the same level as the broken deck.
Which then in turn basically destroys the player base, right? Because like, all right, so this deck's broken. We have to print off a new broken deck that tops that broken deck. Oh wait, now this broken deck's too broken. Now we got to do it again and again and again. And then you just have power creep out the wazoo. But on the whole notion of the irregulars list, the cards they have been adding more recently have been really smart cards, in my opinion. Like, maybe we didn't realize it at the time because we didn't figure out the combo, but like looking back at it now, they're all really smart except for one. And that's Obstruct, but that's besides the point. Maybe getting Obstruct back to 4.
That would
help everyone else.
I think Obstruct would be perfectly fine if it's one of the rare occasions I would support an errata for a card. Like a power level errata to it to just make it so it can only be used it can't be used after you've already drawn all your cards for a turn. So if you limit it to only being activated at the start step of either player's turn, I think it would be able to be used,
Right.
or something along those lines.
Well, it would only be during your opponent's turn that you could
Right.
do it.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it at the end of your turn or start of your turn. Exactly.
Some way to...
But that type of errata to obstruct would be nice. Because no matter what, you're going to do all your draws anyway before you'll cast your obstruct. So that's kind of difficult already. But that's just one thing.
Questions for chat. Do you guys want us to do an episode sometime in the upcoming weeks where we create a new irregulars list for the game, or talking about what we'd add / subtract from the irregulars list? General curiosity, because we haven't talked about the irregular list in a long while, because there haven't been major changes to it in a long time, just minor ones. So let us know if you'd like to see that.
Oh, that's a very interesting little thing in chat there. Because Messiah Arms are your new anti-dragons, right? They're supposed to counter anything dragon related. I feel like they're going to have a great start, but the way that Legend Dragons have their support in there, I don't think Legend Dragons are going to feel that effect at all.
I'm really disappointed with Messiah Arms because they're meant to be the anti-dragon deck, right?
Like they're supposed to be the ultimate anti-meta deck in a sense.
Well, because Bushiroad has a hard-on for dragons.
Yes,
so they're the anti-dragon deck.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of the fact that they hate on dragons, they play exactly the same as any old dragon deck.
Nani? Did you say we have a non-dragon dragon deck?
Basically, everything in Buddy Fight is, I am a multi-attacking deck. My card has triple attack. You cannot nullify it. You cannot destroy it. Also, I can restand my things by doing this thing, and I can destroy your things. That is every single deck in Buddy Fight in recent years.
And like another thing is like, at least for Dragon Deity Tribe, is they have anti-bounce, they have anti-rest, they have anti-destruction. How do you stop their monsters exactly? Like generally, like Lost World, like if anyone wants to be playing Dragon Deity Tribe, which I think is a major thing, because not many people play them, but a lot of people play them. Kind of interesting in that fact, where it's just like, yeah, we can't be touched by basically anything. You can spell all our spells, but we got monsters with effects and stuff that protect from other effects. What do?
Also, we just drew 8 cards, so we got 4 extra copies of everything we need, and we toolboxed out a bunch of stuff. And I hate it because the only way Bushiroad has tried to keep power level down is by printing, I guess, what you would call a hate card for them. You look at the generic promo that we got that literally shuts down any mill deck, or Recover Veil, which shuts out any discard deck, or. And that's the only way that they've been able to shut down decks like that. Or you have something like Buddy Block. And you know what? If I'm playing in a tournament playing this really cool, not quite normal deck, I'm not just multi-attacking with my quadruple attack card with 4 critical, cannot be nullified, penetrate, blah, blah, blah. And my opponent whips out their anti-mill card or their anti-whatever I'm trying to do, alternate win condition of any sort. That's not a good game of Buddy Fight. That is the worst game of Buddy Fight for both players.
Exactly. When it comes down to that, because it's basically just aggro, wall, somewhat. It's more wall aggro, in my opinion, and alternate win cons. Alternate win cons basically have a turn and a half to win. Otherwise, it's fun. I'm going to go home now. I did my best. Aggro almost seems like it doesn't have a problem anymore. I can almost say that 100 Demons are aggro, but more in the sense of it's an alternate win con, but not. But they can also just be like, oh, I'm about to deck out. let's not. And like refresh, which is really neat. Don't get me wrong, especially for Haigakugan. That's the point. Like, eventually I have that weird suspicion that Dragon World's going to be the next one to get one. Legend World technically already has it with Miseria, but that's complete reset and no life regain. Dungeon World then also has it because of Miseria. It's only a matter of time before Bushi's all like, oh, maybe we should add this to all the worlds. And then what? We go from 10-minute games to 2 hours because, oh, I'm just going to like reset my game state, pass turn. Oh, I'm going to do my things, reset my board state or game state, pass turn, keep doing that for all eternity. Even if the cards are once per game, you already know Bushi's going to do something dumb and make one of them not, or give one of the worlds two. Like, oy, so much.
My absolute biggest problem, and this is definitely wrapping back to the Legend Dragon thing, is I feel like every single deck in Buddy Fight is just getting to this same board state of being this same powerful deck with multi-attacking, blah, 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 blah. You can't deal with my stuff. I'm just aggroing out and killing you one turn. That's every deck, just with different steps to get to it. Mystic Knights are that. That's a Magic World deck. Cosmo Man is that. That's a Hero World deck.
Mm-hmm.
Electro Deities are that. That's a Katana World deck. Don't even get me started on Dragon World.
In a sense, it's basically just saying, here's this deck, and this deck seems to be working real well. Reskin.
Yes, exactly.
Reskin.
It's like they're reskinning the same deck over and over again. And Legend Dragons are one of the biggest examples. If you took your Legend Dragon cards and you just Photoshop them to be in Dragon World instead, there'd be no difference. If we went back in time and revealed the entire archetype to people as a Dragon World deck, no one would question it.
No, they honestly wouldn't. They would have been like, all right, that seems about fair. And what I'm seeing, like, people talking about how, like, no old archetypes are being forgotten. Bushi's always been bad at that. Let's see here. You have, let's just see.
I think that's okay sometimes, though.
Right.
I don't think every deck needs to be brought back every season. Otherwise, you just get a mishmash. And especially since Bushiroad's mostly not great at legacy support. Mm-hmm. Look at 72 Pillars. We don't need 75 different Osmodais. It's 72 Pillars, not 72 Osmodais.
I thought that was the archetype.
Right.
Are you sure?
Apparently.
Because, like, a great example, I guess, would be Hero World, right? They basically last maybe their season, and that's it. But that's kind of been the tradition for Hero World, sadly to say. It's like, all right, new thing. It does its thing. All right, off to the next type deal. Like, I'm still waiting on my Kaijus in Hero World. When we'll get that, we'll never know.
And
it's like, I would love Dark Hero support or Gygrander support, like newer stuff to really help those decks, but you kind of have to learn to be like, well, it had a few times and it was decent at the point and then kind of dissipates off. That's kind of what happens in a sense.
And I think this blandification of Buddy Fight is partially us as the consumer's fault. Because every time a non-standard Buddy Fight deck does get big, it's the thing people complain about. When Godpunks got decently competitive, people complained and complained and complained about them. When they were the only disruption deck in the format and everything else was generic aggro. And guess which deck got hit, getting their best cards hit? It was Godpunks.
Well,
and by
best
hit,
card,
well,
and
they,
yeah,
whatever.
But
But
we get what you're going for.
also, the lack of support for six main booster sets, And then anytime, if mill gets big, people complain about mill. If a control deck gets big, people get salty. Do you know how many times in late X I saw people getting really tilted because they're fighting Prism Dragons going, oh, well, I just can't do anything.
Right.
That's the point. And we want that variety in our game.
I love variety. I like facing different decks. I love facing wall decks. I love playing wall decks. I love playing control decks. I love my plagues. I love playing a variety of different things. I like to say I'm a jack of all trades. I can basically pilot any deck, but just like kind of thinking over all the decks that I have. Aggro, 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 control, aggro, 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 aggro. It kind of falls into like one thing. Like, I feel like Bushi needs to take like a page out of Magic the Gathering's book to kind of keep everything fresh and not necessarily bend to the consumer's will as much as they do, I feel like. I think that's a big thing too, is they just kind of like, oh, we want to make you guys happy. Sometimes you got to let people be upset. It's the only way that the game state can be fair and fun, I guess, in my opinion. I could be wrong about the fun part, but...
And what really sucks is for a little while, I felt Bushiroad was starting to get there with giving us more variety. I think early at Ace, we started seeing more variety in decks. You had decks that focused on life gain and, if not control, like defensive control in Electro Deities.
Right.
You had, obviously Godpunks. You had Curse Dragons, a good alternate win condition deck.
Mm-hmm.
You had ECs, which, honestly, I'm still not quite sure what they are, but they're different. Right?
They're counter aggro?
Kind of. They're
aggro
weird.
on your opponent's turn.
They're weird.
Yeah.
Another example is, we got good legacy support pushing decks into interesting directions. We had, the support that made Shadow Shade a tier 2-ish deck, and that's a burn control deck.
Right.
You have 72 Pillars, which became a disruption discard deck.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of this really cool, interesting support, and then we hit a wall with it. After, set 4, nothing's been interesting, really. There have really been no non-standard the buddy fight deck style decks.
I would
After
like to argue
Electronic.
that Legend Dragons were interesting. The way I played them, at least, because I don't necessarily play them aggro. I played them more control-based.
Well, now you don't have much choice.
Now I don't have much choice. Yes, I know that. But that's set 6, not set 5 problems. So it's like, Buddy Fight tries to be interesting, right? They add in basically like a standalone Titan deck with Max Dragons. They have an interesting new mechanic in the double buddies in Legend Dragons. They have... I'm trying to think of good ones. More formation-filled Astro Dragons that wanted to switch sides and so forth to be offensive and defensive, being that really cool mid-range. You have the I'm going to share my abilities with everybody, the Sliver deck in Ancient Worlds, and they just turned out to be size 1 aggro or size 3 aggro. But that's besides the point. Like, they had a lot of interesting things like Godpunks. Go, Jacob, before I just talk myself out of oblivion.
I find we also have this great irony here because we get these collaboration booster sets, these crossover sets. And I do like to complain about them. I don't think they're healthy for the game, but they're here. And what's really frustrating about them is they are a chance for R&D for the game to experiment a lot more than they can with something normal because they don't have to worry about interactions because they're closed gardens that don't interact with anything outside of their own sets. So you can do a lot more without worrying, oh, is there some random generic card we printed 3 years ago that breaks this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And what do? We got a little bit of interest with Conan with its check the opponent's hand, discard things.
Right.
Everything else just straight generic aggro with a little wall, resource gain, blandness.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my opinion, definitely Bang Dream Pico and potentially Idols definitely should not have existed. But they're here. Gotta live with them from now on. And it's kind of like attesting to that, like how long will they last? Are they going to have a Guardians and Executioners route where it's like, cool, we're here in our season. Oh, it's next season? Okay, we'll disappear now. Or are they going to be more Y-esque or Chaos, where it's like, we'll sprinkle in a little bit of support. Hey, look, we got ground, boys. Let's go.
I think it's really sad that the game's, it's kind of a natural thing because the game's getting older, but there are a lot of players now who started off in X or in Ace. I mean, most of the people we play with in our local group started off in X or Ace. I mean, the oldest outside of our original three amigos started in Triple D.
Yeah.
And people don't realize what a different buddy fight is now. And what it's not even just Buddy Fight now is a different game from Buddy Fight when it started. It's like 5 different games from different seasons. Triple D Buddy Fight is drastically different of a game than X Buddy Fight or 100 Buddy Fight or current Buddy Fight. And the problem with legacy support is we're taking that unique, interesting format of, say, Triple D, which was a very fun, playable format, and we're just painting it over with a coat to make it the current format.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing I'd like to say is y'all should go out there and play a game or 2 or 7 of Season 1 Buddy Fight. Sure, there are cards that objectively would be considered bad cards now, but you may do. And I think you'll get a feel for how the game should be, because maybe at this point that's kind of been lost on people. And, you can do that with physical cards. You could buy just trial decks. That's a great start. Or even fully built decks from the first season are ridiculously cheap. Or just play in a simulator. Grab a friend and, each, build a deck that only uses Season 1 cards. Give it a shot. Hell, maybe Dalton and I will post some gameplay of some Season 1 decks. What do you think? Putting words in your mouth.
It's going to be hard, but I think I can do it. Maybe I'll bring back the good old Grendel. I think that would be a great time, even though I know we'll lose to any old school deck.
Can you imagine how much hate they would give if we got a full archetype based off of Grendel's skills now?
Oh, my God. Well, the fact that we're semi-getting it in a way because of Messiah Arms. But, dude, if we had a full archetype based off that, people would riot. It would not be a good time. I'd have a blast, but Jacob would be mad. Everyone would just be mad. They'd be like, this game sucks, and just leave, play Super or Magic or something like that. Or go back to Yu-Gi-Oh! If they came from Yu-Gi-Oh! Type deal. Like, dude, golden skin. Oof. We should really do that. Really should. Man, the nostalgia's getting to me now, man.
All right. If we hit 2,000 subscribers, we'll do it. 2,000 subs.
2K, baby.
2K, we'll do some OG Buddy Fight matches for y'all.
Yeah, I think that's like maybe 10 away. It's been a minute since
It's not exactly a hard challenge.
It's
but
not hard, but Dude, that'd be really lit, though. Yeah. Please, get us 2K so we can do that. That'd be amazing. Dude, that kind of took a huge turn from where I wanted to go to where it ended.
Can you wrangle it back?
Old school decks, nostalgia. I don't think I can wrangle that back into WTF Bushi. What is this new support? Maybe we just rant on how Garga should have just been killed off.
Oh my gosh. I am so sick of the term G boost. It's not even funny. How many do we have? How many different ones? 4?
You have. Do you want to count G Evo?
No, we'll count
Okay.
that separate.
So you have base, craft, and hearts coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel like I'm missing one?
I don't know. But
There's going to be another one. So
not only are they...
there's singletons too. It's like there's a set, off to the next.
They are so lazy of Bushiroad. I'm not going to hate on you if you enjoy playing one of them. No, I'm hating on Bushiroad for copy-pasting the same but different archetype over and over and over again. They're not even trying anymore with Dragon World. Not remotely.
Like,
They are coasting.
says, screw Yuga, go back to the Dan, man. I just want more Blood Boys.
Oh, you missed Body, I guess. No, Body, Craft, Heart. So there are 3 of them.
Oh, my fault, because base
Yeah.
isn't base. Boost. Boost! I don't know. There's so much.
1 was too many.
It was. It should have been done with G Evo. Yuga gets a new buddy, or you keep supporting G Evo.
Or do something radically different. But
New main character. Let's follow Katana World. Okay, maybe not Katana World, because I think that would just lead into
100 Demons player. New 100 Demons player. Let's go.
I was actually thinking going into Legend World, because this would be before Legend Dragons would have come out.
Yeah.
So it could have been something different.
Or what about we get 2 main protagonists,
Nani?
one playing Guardians and one playing Executioners.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Don't tempt me with a good time. What else? Dragon World's a cluster. I'm not gonna say the other word as much as I want to. Star Dragon World's probably gonna be, as much as I hate to say it, the best world that's not complete and utter cancer. Legend World has fallen off the face of the earth. They went from being, holy smokes, Legend World's getting support, to being, oh no, Legend World's getting support.
It would be nice if Worlds felt different again.
That would be a good time, wouldn't it?
You know, in the first couple seasons, I'd say even a little in Ace, or like not Ace, sorry, I meant even a little in X, you still had some distinction between the worlds, though that was the season things started blurring. That was when I was complaining, guys, Dungeon World feels exactly the same as Dragon World. Now I'm complaining, guys, every world feels exactly the same. You know? But Triple D and everything before that, each world does feel distinctly different and unique from each other. And
right. We could probably list them off, but then that would make this another like 13 hours.
yeah, let's not pad it too much.
But it would be nice, even though Darkness Dragon World, I feel, is kind of stuck to its guns for the most part, of being kind of the quirky wins.
Getting around the opponent's defenses is kind of their theme.
Yeah, their
I
generalized theme.
But aesthetically, Darkness Dragon World has gone.
Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on lore. Oh, they had such amazing lore, and then it just fell off. That's besides the point.
Darkness Dragon World used to be some of the most unique with art in the game, and now every single Darkness Dragon World monster released,
it's just a
since Triple D is just bots but emo.
bots, but
Yeah, that same dragon style that everything.
I would
has.
have gone with the Abigail, but then slightly changed up.
But Abigail's just ball but emo.
Don't like the way you put it, but it's right. What else could we talk about before we just say screw it and end it?
Should they ban some Legend Dragon cards?
not ban, in my opinion. If anything, you need to put Frieza to 1. Just because I think it's kind of straightforward. Raw does nothing without Frieza. Magma does nothing without Frieza. Frieza is needed, but you don't want to kill off the deck at the same time, even though you could argue that people will just run the trial deck versions instead, which might be clunky.
Or do we just print a new generic counter card that makes it so loyalty?
What?
Like a loyalty, right?
What would you do?
But it just says like a new counter card that just says cast, pay whatever the cost is, some sort of restriction. You guys can fill in the blanks for me. Your opponent can only attack X number of times per turn.
Oh, you mean buddy block?
Kind of, but better.
What would be better than
even
4
better than
times?
that? Or just, hey, counter. Your opponent cannot call monsters during the attack phase.
Okay, we don't really care about that. See, you're losing us here, man. I'm just waiting for when they give Legend Dragons a new rebounce and recall, but it also restands the buddy zones and then just breaks everything.
Blake said in chat, remember when Continental World actually countered stuff directly? Remember when Continental World did anything unique? I remember we described Continental World as it had traps. Back before traps was an archetype, it wasn't confusing.
Yes, yeah.
It had traps and it had no life gain.
Yes.
Now it has life gain and no traps.
Sounds about right. Do you think I should make that deck and do a deck profile of it?
Sure.
Yeah? I might have a spicy Katana World deck coming for you guys. It's gonna be real spicy. I just gotta make sure it's all nice and worked out and actually works. That's the key part, works. Well, I think we should just cut it off there before we just keep rambling, huh?
Yeah, please go on our Discord server, and I'll bring it up there too, but let us know what Season 1 decks you'd be interested in seeing from the game. Because we, surprisingly, have almost every card from Season 1 at full play sets. We have a lot of cards from Season 1.
Oh, I know what to bring back. That'd be a fun deck to bring back. It'd be trolly, but it'd be fun. Yeah, I just know it should be a fun time with that. But make sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell so you don't miss out when we go live. Throw out deck lists, matches, things to those in nature. Follow us on Instagram. Join the Discord if you want to keep talking. Jacob, any final words from you?
Nope.
And
Wait, that was technically a word. No.
And above all else, stay classy, y'all.
Thanks for listening to TCG Buzz. New episodes can be found on tcgbuzz.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For box openings, deck profiles, and more, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.